Hello everyone, my name is Alex Mbaka. I'm happy to be part of the X-Culture family. I am a coach and a coaching assistant. And through this period, I've been reviewing various submissions. And through that insight, I've thought that it's important to prepare this webinar so that we can assist the students who are submitting their X-Culture project reports. So my topic is how a global virtual team can write a winning business consulting report. So I'll first start by differentiating a business consulting report and academic report. Most students do not differentiate what is the difference between the business consulting report and the academic reports. Business consulting reports are quite different, and the biggest difference is they are reviewed or they're used by senior executives and managers, while academic reports are for professors and they're basically for academic credits. So if you don't find this difference, you may be actually doing the wrong thing. You may be making the wrong assumptions. Because with academic reports, you have term papers, you have theses, you have dissertations. These are different, even the formats, they have standard ways of doing things. But for business consulting reports, it's about appealing to the CEO or the manager in charge, or the area, the client, or any other evaluator. So always remember, when writing a business consulting report, you should keep your client in mind. You know, the general information, business models, frameworks, analysis, the pestle, the SWOT, these standard explanations can be accessed anyway. Somebody can find this information, but specific information, effective ideas tailored and analyzed based on business problem in relation to a specific client and industry is not available. And this is why we have our clients paying. This is why people go to look for consultants. It's because they can access these molds, but they cannot make sense out of them. They cannot tailor them down. They need your expertise to find the most relevant. Okay. So you need to put these questions. You need to consider these questions when writing a business consulting report. So first, how is the client going to benefit from this information and ideas? Whatever ideas you're giving, are they feasible? Are they creative? Can they be implemented? Are they really important to the client? Can you put yourself in the shoes of that CEO or manager somewhere who has a specific challenge and wants it solved? Is your idea really important? Is my pestle analysis, is my recommendation for market really applicable? Second, can a top executive with limited time understand the ideas you are presenting? Can they quickly go through and find the gist? So one important thing is these evaluators or consultants do not really have the time. So they have to quickly rush through and find out what is important and quickly scan through before making a decision. So if your information is cluttered or irrelevant, then you may miss the point. So it's important to have the information very relevant to the business problem, to the point. Third, is my explanation substantial? Do I have a substantial number of ideas and points? When you're presenting ideas, they need to be substantial. They need to be well explained. They need to be clear and specific, accurate and to the point. Do not spend a lot of time or spend a lot of text explaining irrelevant issues and then unclear or inaccurate points. You need to be specific. When you are presenting something, don't beat around the bush. Don't be explaining it based on some models or analysis that are irrelevant to that topic in point. For example, when you're doing pestle analysis, and that is a model, it's a full model taking into account of everything that may affect an organization getting into a certain market. So it's upon you to pick up the most important and relevant issues and put them in use. So the next thing you need to ask yourself, is my analysis or idea backed by important and credible sources and references? Remember, when somebody is reading your information, you need to have the facts, figures clear. You need to have the statistics that back your ideas. If your ideas are not well explained or backed by credible references, then definitely you may lose it. Because as a client or as an evaluator, I'm really looking what was the basis of your ideas. Are those sources credible? You may find that some websites are credible while others are not credible. Websites really provide some very important information, but some of them are not credible. Some of them are opinions. But where are you going to get this credible information and reference your information? So, lastly, in your real world, in the real world, and practically, can a client or you as an executive really base your investment on the ideas and support really making sense in real world? It's not an academic report. That's what I'm academic reports, as long as you are able to bring the content and explain, and then the professor is fine with you. But for a client, it must work out potential in it. So the next section I'm going to look at is cut across all sections consulting report. Let's culture project rubrics, and this is given out last time we're starting the project. So what I can say, it's not a winning report. If you focus on the evaluation rubrics, just present what you just stop coming up with a lot of information that's not, because as an evaluator or as a client, I may not have the time to look at. I just want the specific ideas brought out in summary. Evaluator will go outside the evaluation rubric and ensure that your argument is detailed. Show you are thinking. Do not assume anything. Do not assume that maybe the client will understand or make out sense of what you've written without really explaining everything. And going to look at are referencing references. It's good to use a standard referencing style like the APA referencing style. Your report look good and it's more professional. The next thing I'll look at is formatting. When you're formatting your report, it's important to include charts, figures, facts, summaries. Is it worth 1,000 words? So as a client, if I'm going to see presenting a lot of information in one go, then making out the important ideas, then I will at least be attracted to see what is it in that. Remember, formatting has marks, substantial marks. So, and this is relevant. The evaluator will look at your report, will compare with others, and on formatting. So formatting, you should be good at it. So it's painful. It's quite painful to spend hours research and come up with very creative ideas and then eventually lose marks because of just formatting. Just ensure that your report is well organized and is appealing. You can even go out and consult a third party friend informally and help just look at how appealing is the report. And then, of course, you can use the coaching email to get any assistance in terms of formatting. Formatting also entails the flow of ideas. How are your ideas organized? When I'm explaining a process, if I start from the end to the beginning, then it becomes confusing. And here somebody wants to quickly go through your report and find out the ideas. Don't make it difficult for them. Remember that your report is rated relative to other reports. The executive summary, you should cover major ideas, and it's better to be in point form. The executive summary is important in the report because it will show the evaluator or the client what you have in the report. Excuse me. It will show you what you have in the report. So the executive summary in point form is better than one cluttered in paragraph form because in point form, I'm able to find out the most important ideas and uh, make sense out of them. You also realize that if you have a very poor executive summary, then it pushes the client or the evaluator away because definitely if your executive summary is bad, then your will not be good, at least according to my observation. With poor executive summaries, have got poor general report. All ideas, every part of the report in the executive summary. The next section is creativity of ideas. Creativity of ideas. What about it? So, ideas should be presented and should consider achieving company objectives in an optimal way. It's always about reducing costs. At least in the X Culture project, you've got an opportunity to test webinars from the CEOs to get more or understand more about the challenge. So you'll come to understand that some CEOs do not just want to reduce costs, just focus on what is on the challenge. It's not about reducing cost. It's sometimes about how to effectively achieve the purpose. Just students sometimes assume or do not just find time to watch the webinars, but it's really important to understand. Next, your ideas should consider the long-term gains and sustainability. A client doesn't want an idea which will be relevant in the next 2 months or the next 2 years. Remember, with this very turbulent environment, one wants to at least stabilize the environment, and this is by finding novel, creative, sustainable, long-term ideas. The weekly submissions, I also realized that students were not relating the analysis to their recommendations in terms of ideas. When you're doing the analysis in SWOT analysis, industry analysis, that this analysis is going to assist you come up with the ideas. Presenting a company and say, for example, the company is small, they are or young, and then therefore it has a flexibility in it, and it has got fewer staff. And how does this relate to the idea that you're going to come up? How does this relate to the market that you're going to recommend? SWOT and competition analysis or any other analysis done in the report is done to present ideas on solving the challenge. For example, finding a market out there and the market entry strategies. It's important to understand that strengths and weaknesses are internal, opportunities and threats are external. Some students didn't see the importance of including opportunities and threats in their weekly submission, but it's quite important because in an organization operating in a fit-based or an environmental fit model, company will always change its internal aspects to fit the environment, and therefore, when analyzing the company, it's important to specify the external opportunities and threats. Sometimes provide the best potential markets to be recommended. Consider having substantial number of SWOT ideas because this will strengthen your proposal. Remember, that are relevant is better than giving many or no explanation or no credible sources. To know is the strengths. These are basically sometimes the competencies that the company has developed over time, and sometimes they act as strengths or so changing competencies to fit a specific market is very expensive. Costs must be justified by return. Otherwise, it's always better for companies to market which just need the that a company already has. I can give an example. For example, the VSA challenge to China. As much as China is a good market, you have to realize that Chinese speak a different language with the Americans, and therefore there will be definitely a language barrier. And if you not consider that, you may recommend a wrong market. But I'm not saying China is a bad market as long as you can prove it. That is just an idea. Remember that, for example, when handling market success criteria, you know that doing the work of a CEO or a strategic manager, criteria, your choices, creative when using a certain market success criteria. Use the PESTEL framework. The PESTEL framework or model is wide and has got everything in it. The most relevant. The most relevant. So somebody might say, part of PESTEL, I'll choose the GDP. GDP is a market success criteria. Why did I decide to choose it? Why did I decide to choose it? For example, if we have a company that is selling shoes, and now I've decided to venture into a certain market, and one of the criteria I'm using is the gross domestic product income. How is that very relevant? Market, you're a company that is selling shoes. You should identify the market niche or the potential market. If it's ladies' shoes, just find out maybe the per capita income of ladies, their affinity like, or what do they like about shoes, which is the population that you're going to consider. Do not just find averages of that country without considering the specific population and how it's going to be accessed. When you are also making recommendations about market entry, the strengths of the company, the weaknesses, the threats, and also consider the external market that you want to venture into. Then we're going to look at presentation of ideas. To present your ideas in steps, paragraphs, because in steps or in bullets, it's easier for me to point out the ideas, or it's easy for the client to point out the ideas. Remember, for academic reports, you may not be allowed to use bullets, but in business consulting, you will be allowed, because this is a person who just wants to find out the ideas and he's got thousands of reports. So using charts, using facts, using figures, using statistics to argue out ideas will show that you've got some points. You have some idea about what you're presenting and prove your report. It's better, once again, to have few well argued an analysis than having many with little or no argument. You do always winning reports, sculpture projects, winning reports. What do they have? Always watch webinars presented by specific companies. The next thing I'm going to look at is a virtual team. Good report, or in order to work together, have conflicts. You'll always have conflicts. You'll at least need to agree on something. And if you can't agree, then definitely you can write a good report. Teams. You need to understand ways of handling conflict. So as students or as parts of the team, students from different perceptions, who believe who've got different ways, and if you have to perform and to be one person in a team, success or failure, just one person. That important is one person can assist the team cope together, and one person can destroy it. So there are different ways that you can choose to handle conflict. The different ways in which you can decide to avoid them and work on. And it may not be healthy because these issues may come out later and more problem. You can decide to discuss also and compromise and come to some agreement. For example, in time zone issues, sometimes one has to compromise for the team to. Some people decide to accommodate. If you accommodate the rest and just assume and lose the argument, sometimes it works. If you have little to lose and here you want the team to succeed, then you can decide to accommodate. Some members decide to compete and force out their way, especially with dictators. They force their way and find their way out. This is not good in teamwork, though it's good at times. I'm not saying that handling style that is bad, but it's not usually good in teams, especially global virtual teams, where you need everybody's effort, everybody's best mind. The last one is collaboration. Collaboration is where you bring your interests together to decide to explain each other's feelings and fears and beliefs before coming up with a conclusion. Let me give you an example, a simple example. If you find two men fighting for or two people fighting for a bottle of water, and I want that bottle, and the other one I want that bottle of water. Fight. In case of avoiding, They'll both avoid and just leave that bottle, so nobody will have gained, and both of you lose. In compromise, maybe they decide to cut the bottle in the middle. Some one gets half the water and the other one gets half the water and half the bottle. In accommodating, one member will just leave it to the other. And in competing and forcing, one member will force the other into submission. But in collaboration, the two people will sit and discuss, what do we really want? So one will say, I want this bottle, or I want this water. Uh, I want the water. So you may come to realize that one of the men wanted, or one of them wanted the bottle, while the other wanted water. So if you come out and discuss your interests, your fears, why don't you want to do it this way? It will be better and healthier for the team to succeed. Otherwise, if you force, if you disagree and do not work together, then there is a big problem. However, it's always to consider what is important. Is it the task or is it the relationship? Sometimes it's important for some issues. The task is important. Completing the project becomes the important factor. While in other situations, the relationship is more important. So especially global virtual teams will never meet, will never have that time to really sit together and understand each other. It may be difficult and find time out from the project. It's important to discuss and create that rapport, that understanding. Each other. Everybody in the global virtual team is capable and they have some information that you don't have. And if you see each other as part of the bigger project, it will assist you rather than stereotyping and saying people from this country do not like working, people from that country, people in this area are like this. Those are your strengths, because diversity will assist you have different perspectives of the challenge. That's all about global virtual teams. You're having different people from different parts of the world doing different. That's where we want the ideas to come from. So I'm really happy that you will make some changes on your report to assist you, especially when we are going to submit this culture project. So in summary, that you need to understand: one, you're writing a business consulting report to a manager or a CEO, not an academic report. Two, formatting is very critical and important. Three, you have to give credible sources. Four, give your information in summaries, in charts, and in facts and figures. Five, your ideas should be creative, should look at the long-term sustainability, and they should also concern environment and weakness. Uh, to listen to this report. I hope it to this webinar important to you.